right, so thank you for those of you joining us. Thank you so much. Good handshake between the players, and they're going to start Todd on the play with green-black aggro. Tom Ross, you can tell that he's teaming with Todd Stevens for the event. Both players suiting it up for the Players' Championship.
Yeah, very dapper today. A departure from the typical leather jacket.
Gnarlwood Dryad into Servant of the Conduit for Todd Anderson. The green-black aggro deck living up to its name. He hits Tom down to 19. This kind of reminds me of what we saw with Jerry Thompson last round. The 1-drop, 2-drop aggro decks, a lot of players choosing to approach the matchup that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be Harness Lightning on the Servant for Tom Ross. He's very smartly doing this while Todd's tapped down as we go to Todd's next turn. Todd's hand here is land 3, a second Servant of the Conduit, a Blossoming Defense, and 2 copies of Verdurous Gearhulk.
Ooh. And with the second Servant here, there could be just a Gearhulk on turn 4.
That could be problems. We go back to Tom's turn. Harness Lightning, 2 Woodweaver's Puzzle Knots, 2 copies of Aetherworks Marvel for Tom Ross.
There's only 3 copies of Harness Lightning in Tom's deck. He's produced 2 of them here. I do like going for the Servant here.
Yeah. And I want to talk a bit about Tom's preparation for this matchup. So Tom was actually here at the event site before any of the other players playtesting this matchup with Todd Stevens. But what's interesting about it, Tom played his entire playtest session this morning playing the green-black aggro deck.
Yeah, he wants to know what's going on inside the head of Todd Anderson. That makes a lot of sense.
That's a really Tom Ross way to play, to prep for an event. But you're right, Tom misses the land drop here. Says go. Then next he casts Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot and Aether Hub, 5 energy, and gaining 3 life. You see double Aetherworks Marvel in hand. Double Ulamog, that part. Probably not happy with.
Mm-hmm.
We go to Todd, though. While Tom is tapped down, he's going to take the opportunity to cast Verdurous Gearhulk. We'll see how he distributes the counters, and it's going to be all of them on Gnarlwood Dryad. A full crash for 5 from Todd Anderson sends Tom down to 13.
Yep, just hit him hard. I like that a good amount. There's no way to distribute the counters on the other creatures to make Harness Lightning wildly inefficient. You can either make it so you have a 4/4 Servant and a 3/3 Dryad, or a 4/4 Dryad and a 3/3 Servant.
Harness Lightning from Tom Ross will shoot down Servant to the Conduit, getting him up to 6 energy. That's going to be great if he can find this other land. His hand, though, just continues to get more of the same cards. 3 Aetherworks Marvels are now in his grip.
He does have the mana to spin one if he can, or the energy rather, if he can produce the 4th land.
I'm not sure he's going to get another turn. You see Todd here draws. He gets a copy of Hissing Quagmire. He attacks. He has Blossoming Defense. He's going to defense the Gnarlwood Dryad. That's 7. 13. That's going to be game to Todd Anderson.
Yeah, and Tom missing that land drop that was never able to get off the ground.
Yeah, hand with a lot of redundancy. Draw's really not helping him there, right? Picking up a second Ulamog, then a second Marvel, then a third Marvel. Not much for Tom Ross to do.
Yeah, and just having those early Harness Lightnings, his spell distribution was probably above average for the matchup, but missing on those lands, very awkward.
All right, so just a mere 3 minutes into the match, and Todd Anderson already has game 1. We'll go ahead and look at the sideboards for the players. For Tom Ross, he's got 4 Tireless Trackers, a Harness Lightning, 3 Kozilek's Returns, 3 Natural States, 2 Tears of Valakut, an Ishkana, and a Blighted Woodland. Now, here's my concern. When we watched Jacob Baugh, we saw 4 copies of Galvanic Bombardment. I would love to see those in Tom Ross's sideboard, but he doesn't have anything like that.
No, he's just going up to the 4th Harness Lightning. You can bring in Kozilek's Return. It's very contextual in this matchup. There's a lot of stuff it kills, and then there's some stuff that it only kills if Todd does not have Delirium.
Right. So when we saw Jacob play it, his sideboard plan was to use trackers and bombardments to kind of manage the aggro creatures. Mm-hmm. If you don't have bombardments, do you still go for Tireless Tracker?
Tracker's definitely going to look a lot worse here. In particular, when Grimflayer gets to be a 4/4, it stops mattering. It'll be able to trade with Gnarlwood Dryad at any point. It can always trade with Servant of the Conduit, assuming that Todd doesn't have a pump spell. The card does not seem exceptional here. You might just want to go in that direction just so you have more stuff to do outside of doing nothing until you marvel, but it's not going to be great.
I do want to ask about the sideboard, though. Wouldn't be a Tom Ross deck if there wasn't at least 1 land in the sideboard. You see a copy of Blighted Woodland there. What's that all about?
In matchups where you just want to be casting your big stuff, it's like a ramp spell. Totally reasonable. Also, you can just you make your land drops more consistently just by having that extra land as well.
All right. Not here, though. This is
No.
different animal.
You might see him reach for a Tears of Valakut or two to take down a Smuggler's Copter, though that's a little ambitious. But, killing Smuggler's Copter does matter.
All right, for Todd Anderson on green-black aggro, his sideboard. 2 copies of Fleetwheel Cruiser, a Gnarlwood Dryad, a Deadweight, 3 natural states, 2 copies of the Sky Sovereign, a Liliana, a Flaying Tendrils, and a full 4 Transgress the Mind.
So for Todd, I like going fast and I like being disruption. So the 4 Transgress the Mind, those seem pretty great here. That's generally going to come in against any configuration of an Aetherworks deck. And then I think there's a good argument for bringing in Gnarlwood Dryad and the Fleetwood Cruisers. Cruiser is just a good way to beat down. You cast it on turn 4, attacks for 5 straight away. Cruiser seems quite solid in this matchup. This is probably one of the matchups that you specifically want Fleetwheel Cruiser in your sideboard for.
Yeah, I mean, that does seem really powerful here. So it hits, and then also if Tom has some sort of sweeper effect, like a Kozilek's Return, Fleetwheel Cruiser still stays on the battlefield. You can't really... It's hard to make Todd suicide the Cruiser into an Emrakul. There's a lot of good stuff going on with that card.
And you can crew it with your creature land, with your Hissing Quagmire.
Oh, that's great. All right, players going to get ready for Game 2 here. Though, coming up in 2017, the first Grand Prix of the year is going to be one of the best Grand Prix of the year. It's going to be Legacy, and it's Grand Prix Louisville.
On January 6th through the 8th, make plans to be part of Magic the Gathering history when StarCityGames.com proudly presents Grand Prix Louisville. Play in the Legacy format main event to compete for thousands of dollars in prizes and a spot on the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour. Select the 3-day Infinite Challenge package to compete in all challenge events for one low price, while also walking away with the exclusive Lotus Petal playmat. All Friday challenges are also Grand Prix trials. Come out early and compete for buys in the main event and more chances to claim a Lotus Petal playmat. Prefer 100-card formats? Register for the Ultimate Commander package to play in 4 Commander on-demand events and take home a Commander Versus playmat and Ultimate Guard Commander deck case. And don't forget to come say hello to Grand Prix Louisville's many special guests, including cosplayer Christine Sprinkle and an artist alley full of fan favorites, headlined by guest of honor Rob Alexander. Be part of Magic the Gathering history. Register for Grand Prix Louisville today.
All right, Grand Prix Louisville. That's coming up here. It's going to be just the second weekend in January.
We had a lot of Grixis Delver decks playing on camera in Legacy this weekend. Gives me a little bit of itch for the format. Covering that blue mirror definitely brought me back to my glory days of traveling to Legacy events.
Tom Ross is going to be on the play here for game number 2. Goes down to 6 cards. Todd keeping it 7. So in Legacy, I know you always play Delver.
Mm-hmm.
Have you switched over to Grixis, or are we still Teamer Delvering people?
You're probably just supposed to play Grixis. I've been waiting on buying Underground Seas because I foolishly didn't buy them when I was in high school and they were $20.
Tom Ross keeps on 6. We'll start on Cinderglade for Todd Anderson. It's Evolving Wilds. No 1-drop this game. It's actually Tom with the first card. Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, 3 energy, and now up to 23 life.
A lot of Mountain Dew I wish I didn't drink. A lot of dual lands I wish I did buy.
Yeah, you could get a dual land, or you could get some soda.
That's several bags of Cheetos.
We already knew the snack food before we mentioned it. It's going to be Cheetos. Todd, choice of 2-drops here. Servant of the Conduit, Grim Flayer, and Smuggler's Copter. We'll see which one he picks. It's going to be the Grim Flayer. Passes back to Tom.
Grim Flayer's great. Start setting up his draws, build towards Delirium. Tom can't have any of that.
Rough game again for Tom. He harnesses down the Grim Flayer, but he misses on the land. And now we go over to Todd. It's Servant of the Conduit. Does Todd have his own land? No, he's stuck too. Okay then. Tom draws, Kozilek's Return, can't cast. Go back to Todd. Does he hit a land? No, he doesn't. He's got Catacomb Sifter. Maybe he'll cast that. He does have Servant of the Conduit.
Yeah, Sifter is another way to produce mana, making that Eldrazi's Scion.
Yeah, no interest. He'll hit Tom down to 21, just use it as an attacker, then play Smuggler's Copter, say go.
Yeah.
If he can draw the 3rd land, this certainly has the biggest payoff.
Right. Having another 2-drop definitely incentivizes you to just chip in. Tom's missing land drops, just be aggressive. And then next turn, casting the Sifter, you can crew the Copter with the 1/1. That's a really good sequence of events.
Tom's stuck again. His draw, though, does play. It's a copy of Harnessed Lightning. We go back over to Todd. Does he hit the land? Looks like he does. Kind of. Traverse the Vault was the pickup.
On this turn, I think it starts to make sense to just cast the Sifter with the Servant mana and then crew the Copter that way. It's more damage output, or the same amount as just crewing.
Do you try to traverse first to do it all? Traverse for the land make the play?
Yeah, you may as well, right?
I don't think it can get blown out. That seems good.
Yeah, Tom's not playing any counter spells. He's not going to catch you there.
He also has a copy of Transgress the Mind, which...
Given that Tom has not hit his third land drop, there's really not a 3 you're looking to strip with that card. Sometimes you see their hand, and Tireless Tracker is something that you want to take, but right now Tracker just doesn't really matter. Todd's already got a Copter. He's got a lot of stuff on the ground.
So he can wait till Tom plays land 3. Also, you just got to assume that Tom's hand's got a lot of 4s in it.
Right. You know, when your opponent is just not doing anything, not making land drops, that means that they have a lot of uncastables. That means they have a lot of 4-mana spells.
So interestingly here, Todd, though, is going to transgress anyway. He first traverses for the land, but then goes after Tom's hand. He gets to see the story. It's a trio of 4-drops, Nahiri, and Aetherworks Marvel, and a pair of kill spells, Harness Lightning and Kozilek's Return.
Something that this does do for Todd, though, he can't take Harness Lightning, but now he knows about it.
Yeah, so he might not crew the Copter.
Yeah, so I do like the transgress for that reason. The taking of the 3 or 4 drop, not super relevant.
Well, I actually have an interesting one for you. Todd's got a Gearhulk in hand. Is Smuggler's Copter or Servant of the Conduit more valuable here? Usually he selects Aetherworks Marvel.
He definitely wants to cast that Gearhulk, and he needs to produce some more mana to do it.
I guess if Tom has to Harness Lightning the Servant, this is interesting. Todd just says go.
He's representing Blossoming Defense here.
Really hard, right?
Yeah, I do like this from Todd, especially if he doesn't have it.
Yeah, because he didn't even attack for 2.
Yeah.
That's so bold. Tom draws a Puzzle Knot and plays it, says go, goes up to 7 energy.
Yeah, and that representing a Blossoming Defense, you know, Tom can't just sit back, miss a land drop, and cast Harness Lightning here. If Todd has Blossoming Defense, then he just kind of gets crushed in combat.
Todd does draw the land, though, and now there's going to be some play.
And now Tom is in all kinds of trouble.
Catacomb Sifter from Todd Anderson, and now he's not fearing much. So it goes ahead and makes a Scion. That's going to crew the Smuggler's Copter, and Copter, Sifter, and Servant might just all attack here. And the ruse of Blossoming Defense, Todd, look how he tapped for the Sifter.
Yeah, he's just leaving up his swamp.
He has Blossoming Defense. Is that a mistap, or is this?
Are
we playing games here?
It depends if he's just not attacking with Servant. You know, now he has representing Blossoming Defense, but he's kind of hoping that Tom plays into it. He's representing that he misbluffed.
That he mistapped?
Or he's just casting a spell. That also plays.
Okay, he's casting another Transgress. All right, fair enough. Sees the exact same hand. This time he takes Kozilek's Return, and now the Servant is protected. Tom's had actually a fairly healthy life total thanks to these Puzzle Knots, and now he draws the land. Here's the forest. It's been a lot of turns. We'll see if Tom Ross can do anything.
Well, he's feeling there's a white source to cast either of these Nahiris now that he has been stripped of Aetherworks Marvel.
Yeah. Tom just playing his hand revealed. Both players know it. He can crack some Puzzle Knots. We'll see if he does. Todd drawing a second copy of Blossoming Defense. That's going to be really tough for Tom to beat. Copter gets crewed. 4 mana, and now sack the Scion. He's going to make a Gearhulk with Blossoming Defense up. This is great for Todd Anderson.
Yes. Tom has an abundance of energy to kill anything with the Harness Lightning.
Yes.
Though if Todd just hangs back with the Servant, he can cast the defense that way.
All right, so what does Todd want to do with the Gearhulk? He may want to spread this one around. He only has 1 mana up for one of the Blossoming Defenses. So there's a chance Tom would need to draw. He needs to just top deck that Plains or an Aether Hub.
Yeah, then we start to have a game.
So how does Todd share the counters for the Gearhulk? It's going to be 1 on Smuggler's Copter, 1 on Catacomb Sifter, 1 on Servant of the Conduit. Where's the 4th one going? Yeah, Catacomb Sifter. Now Tom gets to try to respond. I think he's just got to. He's got to Harness Lightning something.
Well, then you just get hit by a Blossoming Defense in this combat.
Can he afford to? I mean, playing around 1 mana tricks is really hard. Todd just never takes down the mana.
I think Tom is just losing if he plays into Blossoming Defense. His other lines don't look good. You're absolutely right. but there's a chance, for whatever reason, that Todd just attacks with Servant of the Conduit, and then you get to Harness Lightning something in combat.
Okay, so
You
let it happen.
You also just save some life by forcing him not to attack with the Servant if he wants to represent it.
He's going to lightning the copter. He has to make the play, and Todd is going to Blossoming Defense.
Yeah, and this one is just the check to see if Todd actually has the defense, and he does, and Tom's going to take some damage.
So Copter's a 6/6 now. Catacomb Sifter's a 4/5. Here's a swing for 10. Todd will draw a discard. Tom Ross down to 11. Todd picks up Fleet Wheel Cruiser from that Smuggler's Copter. He's looking to win the game on the very next turn.
And Tom likely concludes that it's more likely or more winnable that Todd just doesn't have defense than Todd cracks in with the Servant and has it.
Tom Ross draws Kozilek's Return, but that is not going to save him here. He looks at the board. He says, go. It's going to make Todd finish it off, but Todd should oblige him this turn.
And he does have Fleet Wheel Cruiser here to apply even more pressure.
Cruiser plus Blossoming Defense up. Todd, he'll play it. Trigger, haste, crude, and cruise the Copter with Servant. And Tom extends the hand. It's going to be Todd Anderson eliminating the Player of the Year here. 2-0 in short fashion. Todd Anderson moves on to the quarterfinals.
Yeah. I do like the deck selection here. We were talking about how maybe this is the matchup where there's some issues with this deck choice over different builds that you could play this weekend. But the green-black aggro deck, as you see there, aggression can just close games, especially if your opponent stumbles. Just play a deck with 2 and 3 drops. You can punish those stumbles very effectively.
Yeah, the green, and that's exactly what happened. Todd did it twice, and that's going to set up a quarterfinal showdown between Todd Anderson and Kevin